Good evening, my dear teacher. Welcome to this late night live. Okay, guys, so today I decided to broadcast our first live 100% in English because I thought, okay, since this program, the digital English teacher is dedicated to teachers who are not 100% comfortable in the digital world, I thought, okay, but this audience is an audience of teachers, uh, professionals teaching English. So I thought, well, I think it's going to be a very interesting experience if we start exchanging experiences in English. And today, what happened was this. So a quick message to people on Instagram. So, guys, as you know, we're live on YouTube and on Facebook because then I can use resources that are available on my computer and that I can't on Instagram, right? So you're very welcome to jump right in and join us here on YouTube. Okay, so anyway, so as I was saying, I changed my plans for this live for today. And I was inspired by a person I interviewed today, somebody who sought my services. And this guy is a professional. He works with software development. He's like an architect of new software systems. At least that's more or less how he described his line of work and his expertise. So anyway, we got to talking, and this guy was recommended to me by a former student of ours. Anyway, we set up a meeting online and we started talking. And the first thing I did was a short interview in Portuguese because I wanted to know what his experience was like with the language. And then he told me several things. He said that he thinks his level as far as listening, right? Listening, reading, and writing, he considers himself a kind of a pre-intermediate or maybe a lower intermediate student. But when it comes to speaking, he has a very he graded himself as someone who's at a very low level when it comes to speaking. And then I joked with him about this and I said, well, let me be the judge of that. So let me conduct a class with you. Let me interview you. Let me do a listening test with you. Let me get you to talk about something that we're going to watch together. And then we'll see what your fluency is like. And as I suspected, because you see, people tend to underestimate, their abilities, their speaking skills, because it's not their strongest suit. They're not very comfortable speaking in English. I understand that, but the thing is, just because you're not 100% comfortable, it doesn't mean that your English is not at a good level already. Anyway, first we talked in Portuguese, and he told me about his job. But the thing that really got me thinking was the fact that he said to me that lots of friends of his, are already working abroad, working for companies around the world, but actually they're physically located in Brazil. So because of this online, what can I say? Well, because a lot of people are working online nowadays. Actually, if you're a good professional, especially in this area, software development, if you work with software development, if you work with computer programming, if you work with information technology, it's almost like there are no borders for you anymore, except for there is. It's almost like there are no borders because you can work anywhere in the world. But you need a special credential. You need a special pass, and this credential or this pass is your fluency in English. So this guy who came looking for my services as an English teacher, he said to me that he really wants to once and for all become fluent in English because he's missing out on a lot of job opportunities, work opportunities. Many of his friends are already working for companies in other parts of the world. But the most interesting aspect of this is that these professionals, they're getting paid in dollars. So think about this. A guy who's a computer software developer can get paid by an American company or an European company or a company from anywhere in the world in dollars, and of course, because it's not just that they are paid in that currency, but because they're paid in dollars, what this guy was trying to say to me is that if he were an American developer, living in New York, he would get paid that certain amount of money. The fact that he's in Brazil doesn't make any difference. So he can get paid the same amount of money. He gets paid in dollars, and his salary is going to be the equivalent. It's going to be equivalent to the salary of somebody who lives in the United States, for example. So anyway, I kind of knew about that because I have a former student who's working at the moment in this kind of he's working for a company and he's receiving in dollars. So anyway, I know it's possible. At least I know one person who's already doing that, and I feel very happy for this person. But so having this conversation with this guy made me open my eyes to something that is very interesting for us professionals who work with this language, teaching English, because it seems to me that there is a like never before, right? There is a big demand for our services because lots and lots of professionals, especially in the information technology field, are realizing that they could be working in Brazil for companies abroad because they can work remotely. All they need is a good connection with the internet, so they can work with companies anywhere in the world. And these people are realizing that they can make more money, and they can get more experience. They can it can have a very positive impact in their career, money-wise, but also professionally, because they can get more experience by working with companies which are high-tech companies and companies which are doing very well in other parts of the world. So anyway, so these professionals are realizing that. They're realizing that they're missing out because this is a door that is only this is a door which is only open to people who are fluent in English. So what's going on? What's happening is that professionals in these areas are realizing that, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, I can't waste any more time." Okay, and that made me think about the work that I do and how I help my students and how I can help this new potential client. And then I started thinking about what that means to us. Okay, and so I thought, okay, so since I have this program, which is a program designed to help English teachers who are not, at least not teachers who haven't got yet a very solid, a very substantial presence in the online world, in this program was designed to help them, to help them join this community. I thought I might make a video about the subject because becoming more professional, becoming better prepared to work in the online world, not only qualifies you to do a great job with with our domestic clients, clients who live in Brazil and who work in Brazil, but also with this new group, the group of people that desperately need the language because they want to work abroad, even if it means just working remotely. And then that got me thinking about the way most people react when I talk to them about this. So, for example, I have teachers who are friends of mine, and then when I tell them about teaching professionals, like doctors and engineers, information technology professionals, and people like that, some of my colleagues, they freak out because they say, Alfredo, but how can I teach? How can I teach an engineer? How can I teach a doctor? How can I teach a scientist? Who doesn't speak English very well, but intends to work abroad, in his area of expertise, and this person needs the language. I mean, how can I help them if I know nothing about those areas of expertise? And then that got me thinking that this is a misconception that we teachers, oftentimes we have this misconception that we need to be experts in their areas as well. So if you feel like that, if you're someone who has ever had a chance to be approached by someone who wanted you to be their teacher, but you felt intimidated because you knew very little about their area of expertise, let me tell you something. This is a misconception because actually, especially if we're talking about students who are at quite a lower level. What I mean is this. Usually, these guys, they already read articles in English about their area of expertise, and they don't usually have a problem with the technical jargon concerning their area. All the technical terms, expressions, any specific words, they're already okay with that. But you see, the thing they struggle with is the basic structure of the language that they don't master yet. It's the language itself that they feel very uncomfortable with. And then, I mean, today I did a listening test with this student of mine because we talked for about 10 or 15 minutes in Portuguese for me to get a feel of what he wanted. And basically he wanted this. He wants to improve his oral fluency because he's already okay, reading documents or writing emails or perhaps listening to people speaking in English. I mean, in the professional arena, he doesn't have a lot of problems with that. And in fact, I learned by talking with him that he's got very good listening skills actually, because he works with Indian companies. Lots of professionals who are actually based in India, and people from India. I mean, they speak English because, after all, for many years, India was part of the British Empire, so they have English as a second language there as well. So lots and lots of Indian people, they speak English. But the problem is their accent is one of the strongest accents that I know. And I find it difficult to understand them sometimes. But anyway, my student, because he's been dealing with them for some time, I mean, this new client, he understands them quite well. So by talking to him about this, and later by doing a test, I discovered that he's got good listening skills. So anyway, but in order to test his listening skills and also to test his speaking skills, okay, I decided to use an episode of Friends that, in fact, I've already used here in this program. Showing how we can use series and films to help our students improve their listening skills, help them improve their speaking skills. And also because I think Friends is a very popular show. It's easy to explain the situations, and the language they use is very colloquial. So that's why I use quite a lot. And usually most people are open to it. It's a very popular series. People like. So anyway, I showed this guy the scene that I'm going to show you right here, and then I'm going to explain to you what happened after I showed him 50 seconds of the scene, and I asked him to explain to me what he had understood. And I had a very interesting insight that I want to share with you, and that I want to explain. But first, let me go ahead and play this video. Okay, so the video that I'm talking about is this one here. Okay, and what I would like to do now is this. I would like to play this video here in the background. 1 second. Right. Okay, guys. So right behind me, I've got this scene of Friends, and I'm going to play it to you, just the first 45 seconds, and then I'm going to explain to you everything that happened in my class today with this student. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh yes, actually before I start playing, let me just make sure that I'm not in the way. Oops, here we go. Yeah. Okay, I want to be as small as possible so that I don't disturb your view. Okay. So here we go.
Oh, no.
Oh, you get away from me, you sick sicko!
What's going on?
Joey has got a secret peephole.
Oh, no.
Yes, he has a naked picture of Monica. He takes naked pictures of us, then he eats chicken, and then he looks at them.
Okay, let's give our friend Joey a chance to explain why he's such a big pervert.
No, I am not a pervert. Oh.
Okay. So guys, that's the scene that I used with this student today as part of the interview process. So I showed him the scene. I wanted to know how much he was able to understand, even though in this video the subtitles are printed on the film itself. So it's not something that I can turn on and off. So I didn't have that choice. So which means that as he watched, he could read the subtitles. But that's not a problem. I could see that he understood because his listening skills actually are good. It's not because he could read everything. But anyway, so we did this test, and then I asked him to tell me the story. And before I asked him to report the story to me, I asked him how much from 0 to 100% he thought he had understood. And his answer was, well, Alfredo, I think I understood about 95%. And said, well, that's great. And I believe you because I could feel that you were quite comfortable watching the scene, and I could see you laughing and enjoying. Okay. But then when I asked him to report, he said something like this, because he doesn't know the series very well, so he didn't know the names of the characters. So he did his best, but he did something like this. He explained to me that there was a guy inside the apartment, and then this guy he saw a picture, a photograph of a naked woman, and then another girl was in the room, and this other girl looked the photograph, and then she was angry, and she told him a pervert, and then another girl arrived, and she said, our friend needs a chance to explain is a pervert, and she was sarcastic or something. So anyway, the way he explained to me, I could understand that he understood all the events that took place there. But he didn't have a solid grasp of verb tenses. He couldn't report the story using the verbs in the past and organize the story in a chronological order and link all the facts and all the characters in a fluent way. But I could see that he really understood. And then we stopped, and then I started talking to him about what I had observed and what my assessment was. And then I had an insight, and I think that and the reason why I decided to bring this subject to this live tonight, it's because as teachers, many times we fail to see that. We fail to see what our students, the difficult. Of course, as a teacher, I could see, okay, this guy is struggling. He cannot deliver. In other words, he cannot bring back the story in as many details as he understood when he received the story. And there are lots of reasons for this. He gets nervous when he gets nervous when he has to speak. He doesn't feel that his vocabulary is vast enough. But I don't think that is true. I think that what happens to people is that when they have to speak the language, first of all, there is the pressure. Like, oh my God, there's this teacher here is asking me a question. And then they focus, you see, and I think the problem is that they focus too much on getting the facts right. It's almost like they feel that it's like an oral test, and they focus so much on getting the facts right that they forget that they could just relax and just talk about everything that happened in the scene. And then when I pointed out to him, first I pointed out his qualities, as a speaker of the language, because I think it's very important that we work with our students, that we work on their self-esteem, and we start by pointing out to them that areas, in which they're already doing well. For example, this guy, his listening skill was very good, his pronunciation was very good, and I think he was not aware of how well he was doing in terms of listening and understanding, and also knowing the words that he should use in order to explain the story, because he delivered in a kind of a broken way, but he was able to show me that he had understood more than 90%. Okay, and then I proposed something to him, and I said, look, why don't we do something like this? Let's pretend that you and I were both students in this group here, and our teacher's over there, and he asked us to watch the video and then explain what we had understood. But you see, we're both students in the same class, but I'm a bit of a nerd. I study more than you. I practice more than you. And because of that, my fluency is at a higher level than yours at this point. Let's pretend we have a situation like that. So I'm going to report that story again, and I want you to pay attention to everything I say. And then we get to the end of it, I want to ask you a question. And the question is, from 0 to 100%, how much were you able to understand? Okay, and then I started reporting this story. And I said, well, teacher, the story is like this. Joey came home, right? And probably he had been to a snack bar or a kind of a fast food restaurant, because he had a bucket with fried chicken and a large cup of soda. So I think he had just come from the street. He had just come from a fast food restaurant. And he had come home to, sit down and eat his food and, I don't know, maybe read a magazine, because that's what he did. He opened the door, he came into the kitchen, he picked up a magazine from the kitchen top, and then he dropped something on the floor. Then he went down to pick it up, and then when he looked at it, he realized it was a picture of his friend Monica, and she was naked in the picture. And then first he was shocked, and subsequently he was pleased, because after all, it was a guy looking at a picture of a beautiful girl completely naked. And I guess he thought it was kind of funny as well, because after all, they're all friends. So anyway, the minute he was there, looking at the picture, his other friend, Rachel, came from behind, and she saw that he had a picture of a naked picture of Monica, and she immediately assumed that Joey was a pervert, that he had a secret peephole, and that he took naked pictures of the girls, and then he sat down, ate chicken, and looked at those pictures. And that's what she told her friends when they came into the room. Well, and then Phoebe's, the other blonde girl, in a kind of a jokingly and sarcastic way, she said that maybe they should give their friend, Joey, the pervert, a chance to explain himself and explain why he was such a big pervert. And she said that, and it was funny because she wanted to give him a chance to explain, and at the same time she also accused him of being a pervert. Well, and this student of mine actually understood that too. But anyway, so I reported that, and then I asked him. I said, "Look, from 0 to 100%, how much do you think you understood?" And then he looked at me and he said, "Well, Fredo, I think I understood about 99%. I said, "Wow, that's awesome." And then I asked him a question, and I would like to ask you, watching this video, the same question. And the question is, do you know what that means? So I want you to think about this. So I have this new client. I do an interview with him. I do a listening test with him. I play a video. And first, I ask him how much of the video he understands. He understands about 95%. Then I use myself as an example, and as an example of a more advanced student, and I report the story, the same story, to him. And then I ask him this question: "And now, how much do you think you understood?" And he tells me that he understood 99%. Okay, so I asked him this question, and I would like you to think about the same question. What does that mean? The fact that he could understand 99%. Well, this guy couldn't answer. He didn't know what I was going for. Because the thing is, I wanted to point out to him that what that means is that the language that I used, all the words, all the vocabulary, the verb tenses, and everything that I explained, while I was reporting, that language, all those words, all those structures, they already live in his brain. And they're there. And I said to him, "Look, the only reason you can understand it's because this language is already there." Well, the problem is that when this information is coming to you through my explanation, you have no problem understanding. You understood 99%. So that means this language is there. It's inside your brain. The problem is that you have a problem getting it out. So the message, the story is there, it's in your brain, but you have a problem getting it out in English. And then he said to me, yeah, well, I agree with you. Okay. And then I started asking him a few questions about the story, and I started showing him what I think we can do to help him improve his fluency. But my point was to show him that more than 50% of the work is already done because the language is already there. We just have to find a way to get it out. And then, of course, there are lots of elements at play here. I think there is a psychological one, which is the fear of making mistakes. Some people feel introverted. They feel some people even feel embarrassed because they think they don't pronounce correctly. They think they make too many mistakes, and this awareness of the fact that they're not doing well stops them from speaking more. So anyway, then I started asking him a few questions, just to guide him. So, for instance, I went back, and I'm going to do the same thing here with you. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the scene, right? And then I stopped the scene at that point, and then I highlighted, the bucket and the large soda, and I asked this guy, so tell me something. Had Joey just come from the library? And he said, no. A lanchonete. You mean a snack bar or a fast food restaurant? He said, yes. I think he had come from a fast food restaurant because, you see, look, he had a bucket of fried chicken and a large soda. And then I explained to him what I think the problem is. You see, the word lanchonete. So his brain is thinking about this word in Portuguese. But what happens is that when I asked him this question, and the question was, look at that scene and tell me, had Joey just come from the library, for example, he understood the structure that I used, he understood the question that I was asking, but he's more concerned about providing the right answer. And the right answer is not the library. But when he focused too much on the right answer, he neglects the structure, and he misses an opportunity to borrow the structure from the question that I asked him. Because then when I pointed out to him, he realized, oh yes, Alfredo, I know I could have said, no, Alfredo, he had not come from the library. I think he had come from a lanchonete. And then I also said to him, man, how do you feel when you're trying to say lanchonete and I say fast food restaurant? How do you feel? And it was interesting because he said to me, oh, Alfredo, I feel a little bit silly because it sounds so easy. It sounds so obvious. Fast food. It's something that's part of our vocabulary. We use this in Portuguese all the time. I mean, like, what is McDonald's? It's a fast food restaurant with Burger King. So fast food in Brazil is so popular nowadays as well. So fast food is not a kind of difficult or strange or weird vocabulary in any way. No, it's commonplace. But I feel silly that I can't remember that, right? And then I said, well, and do you know why we have this kind of problem? Well, the reason why it's difficult for us to develop our fluency is that when we do an exercise like that, the other mistake that we make is that we tend to summarize. And what we need to do if we want to help our students to develop their fluency is to convince them that they have to do exactly the opposite of summarizing. Instead of summarizing, they should dive in and describe the scene in as much detail as possible. So let me give you an example of something that I told him. Okay, so let me go back to the very beginning of the scene as well. You see, instead of saying that he found a picture of a naked girl and he started looking at the picture, which is the most important thing in the story, there's no question about that. But as a person seeking to develop their fluency and seeking to become more fluent, we should use every opportunity to use as much of the language as possible. And so when I stop at a point like that in the film, I show my students that here's an opportunity for us to use what we already have and describe the scene. Okay, so Joey opened the door and came into the apartment. See, Joey opened the door and came into the apartment. If you think about, Alfredo, but come on, do I have to say that? Well, actually you don't. But does it hurt you if you do? Of course, no. Of course it doesn't hurt you. Actually, it helps you to consolidate all these simple words that you have to use when you speak the language. But the more you do that, the more you develop, the more you practice with your fluency, and the more comfortable you feel with the language. You know, it's by reusing or by overusing the very simple stuff that when you have to use something more sophisticated, you feel comfortable using them as well. Okay, so I pointed out to this student today, and he was quite pleased because he realized at the end of our interview that his English is actually at a higher level than he thought it was, because he was, I think he was being too hard on himself. Okay, and then I decided to bring this video, you know, to bring this subject to our live today. And I decided to make it in English because I think this is a good opportunity for us teachers to exchange information with each other in English, because after all, that's the stuff we work with. So my name is Alfredo. This is our program, The Digital English Teacher. I would like to invite you to subscribe to our channel in case you haven't subscribed yet. So every time we post a new video, you're going to be informed of the material that it's already available. Feel free to leave a comment, make suggestions, and come back for more. See you in our next live or in our next video. Bye-bye. Take care.